Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intentional Productivity Tips. I am Megan. I am your very favorite strategic productivity partner, and I want to thank you for joining me today to spend a little bit of time to think about and talk about your productivity. When you think about it, our productivity is how we get things done. It's also how we keep sane, and it's how we keep moving in our lives, moving forward. Today's episode is part 2. We are doing part 2 today. Today, we are looking at productivity preferences, identifying habits, processes, and mindsets that work for you. But first, again, I want to thank you for joining me. You have found me on USA Global TV and Radio's YouTube station, where you'll find me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, talking about productivity, of course. But please check out our other shows. Check out our other playlists. Check out our website at USA Global TV and Radio, and you can find other great tools that will help you grow and become the best that you can. So it's June. We are talking about productivity preferences as a series. And as I mentioned a little while ago, we are talking about part 2 today. Part 2 of looking at our productivity preferences. So let's take a look at what that means right now. So again, last week, let's start with today's show. We'll look at last week's, and then we'll talk about your productivity preferences. The best part is today you are going to identify not only your productivity superhero, but you're going to identify capes that you wear when you're getting things done with your productivity situationships. So let's get started. So we are going to talk about 3 things. Let's meet our productivity superheroes. Let's find out what about your superpower. We're going to respond to productivity preference situationships, and then we're going to look at habits, processes, and mindset for your productivity superhero power. My goal is by the end of our time together today, you have not only identified your productivity superhero powers, your productivity super capes that you wear, but you've identified habits, processes, and mindset that will work for you. Because when we think about it, our productivity is what keeps us sane and keeps us moving forward in this crazy busy world we live in. Why is it so important? Why do we want to know our superhero strengths? Because it boosts our productivity, right? A fact, I've shared this before, it's an important one, but I think we need to share it again. A University of North Carolina study shows that we spend 45% of our day on repetitive tasks. We spend 45%, or about 11 hours of our day, and that's not just sleep, by the way. We spend, although if I could sleep 11 hours a day, woo, anyways. But we want to think about the fact that each day we're doing the same things. We want to talk about how can we take control of our habits and our time so we're able to be happier and more productive and enjoy what we're doing. This is called intentional productivity tips, right? We want to be intentional with how we get things done. Knowing our superheroes' strengths, it reduces our stress because we know ourselves. We know how to get things done less stressful. It boosts our creativity. Again, if I'm not thinking in the back of my mind of what am I supposed to, where am I, if I'm able to just focus and do, I'm going to be more creative. I'm going to increase my productivity, and I'm going to get to know myself. And we know that those are all very important things. So again, I mentioned last episode in part 1, we talked about your productivity superhero preferences. So let's review those because I think it's important to get to know your productivity superheroes. There are 3 we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Stewie Structure, Fantasia Flow, and Lulu Bit of Both. Let's meet a little bit more about them. Again, last week, episode 1, we did a quiz to help identify what you are. Please, you will notice in the comments on this show down below, the link is to last week's episode if you want to take the quiz. But I'm going to explain and introduce them to you so you get a little bit of an overview. And if you watched last week and took the quiz, isn't it interesting to see how this really applies to our lives? Isn't it interesting to see, once I know that I am Fantasia Flow and embrace it, I know how I want to approach my day. I know how I want to approach my productivity. Our goal with getting to know our superheroes when it comes to productivity is getting to know ourselves so we know how to operate so we can shine. So let's get to know our superheroes. So we have 3 again. Let's talk a little bit about Stewie Structure. Is this you, or maybe you know somebody like Stewie Structure? The characteristics are they like detailed plans. They like to have blocked to-do lists and tasks. They like color-coded tasks and calendars. The characteristics of Stewie is a structured, very structured, detailed person. Their mindset is they like clear expectations. They thrive in predictability, and they thrive when they can control the environment. Their strengths are they are able to focus, and when they focus their plans, they're going to get that stuff done. Dislikes, Stewie Structure does not really like interruptions or last-minute changes. Is that you? Do you know Stewie Structure? I know Stewie Structure. Then we also have Fantasia Flow. Characteristics of Fantasia Flow. Fantasia likes a flexible, big picture focus, works based on inspiration. The mindset is values creativity, wants to be able to free and both be flexible, work on their tasks and flow. Strengths, they work best when they're open-minded, when they have a plan and they're able to be creative and we're able to work with their flow and their likes. Their dislikes, strict schedules, and rigid to-do likes. Do you know a Fantasia Flow? I do. Let's meet Lulu Bit of Both. So we have met Stewie and Fantasia, who are pretty specific, and either they like structure or they like flow, right? And again, we know a lot of people like either one of those. Now let's meet Lulu. She's a bit of both. Lulu's characteristics are blend structure with flow, is adaptable depending on the task and the situation. Their mindset is structured for organization, a little bit more free-flowing for creativity. Strengths, they balance both on their approaches, and they also do very well with various tasks. So they balance, right? Their strength is that they're able to balance specific tasks with flow. And then their dislike, again, they do not like overly rigid systems. They do not like over rigidly control. They need a little bit of flexibility in their organization. So we just met Stewie, Fantasia, and Lulu Bit of Both. Do you know any Lulu Bit of Boths? Is Lulu Bit of Both you? It's important to identify our superhero because we are going to boost our productivity. Your productivity superpower is all about how you wield it. Knowing yourself, knowing what cape to wear, and learning when to switch it up for each situation will allow you to embrace your strengths and make productivity work for you. Again, we do the same thing 45% of the day. We have repetitive tasks, right? We know that there is more to do than time in our day if we're honest about our productivity right now, right? We know we have more tasks and we have more pings and messages and notifications coming from us. We know we can look up the information from the world, from our hands, from our cell phones. There is a lot out there. How do we deal with it? How do we step up as our superpower? And how do we embrace it? That's why we're looking at this. That's why we're looking at our productivity preferences, because we all know that as a person, we have a preference where we operate. We might be Stewie Structure, we might be Fantasia Flow, or we might be Lulu Bit of Both. That's important because that helps us to identify how do we want to set up our productivity? How do we want to get ready? But There was a time when I was working with clients when I thought, if we knew your productivity superhero, I could help you set up systems and habits and mindset to work. What I've realized, and again, a lot of it has to do with access information, it's not just about our personal preferences and our personalities when it comes to productivity. It also comes to our productivity preferences for our situationships, right? Because we have productivity situations that we have a relationship with, and we want to identify how can we make the most, how can we make the best out of not just our productivity, but our productivity situationships. What is our relationship with those situations? So I'm going to take this a step further this week. We're going to look at not just who we are with our productivity, we're going to look at our productivity preferences for our productivity situationships. We're going to look at what those situationships are in just a minute. But before, again, we just talked about Stewie, Fantasia, and a little bit of both. But let's look a little bit. When we talk about productivity situations, right, we want to identify, are we a Stewie structure in a productivity situation where we want to thrive on control and organization? Stewie excels when there's a clear plan, predictable routines, and detailed steps. Stewie loves some screenshots, right? Stewie loves some training how-tos and screenshots and videos. They perform best in environments that provide and follow a well-defined structure, right? So get to know the cape of Stewie, not just for your entire productivity, but for your productivity situationships. When is it? Or think about that Stewie cape when you're going to put that on. Or think about another cape we might be putting on in our situationships, which is Fantasia Flow. So that's for those who work best with flexibility and inspiration. Fantasia flourishes when creativity and adaptability are at the forefront, allowing for free movement and the freedom to adapt as needed. Fantasia Flow does not do well with limits. Fantasia needs that ability to be able to be in the moment and to have flexibility. What situations, and we're going to look at, are there situations where you need to be a Fantasia Flow? Or are with your productivity situationships, is it about Lulu bit of both, right? That's for those who balance structure and flexibility. Lulu moves seamlessly between organized processes and flow and spontaneous action and adapting, right? There are some people who want a little bit of both. They don't want it to just be one-way structure or flow. They need something in the middle, and that is a little bit of both. So we have now met again. We know our 3 productivity superheroes, and we know the capes that they might wear. Let's identify some specific productivity situationships and when you might wear each cape. Because look, Stewie, now is not the right time for a structure, is how I feel about productivity a lot of times when it comes for myself. Yes, as a strategic productivity partner, I have helped hundreds of people come up with structured systems for them. I've helped people come up with flow systems for them, and both. So it's about identifying both. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask you about some specific productivity situationships, right? I want you to identify what cape you're going to put on for this productivity situation. Are you going to be Stewie structure, Fantasia Flow, or are you going to be Lulu bit of both? Because identifying your preferences and situationships is the productivity power that we're looking for. So I'm going to ask some questions and pay attention to your response, because there is going to be some of these that you're going to have a very physical response to. And I don't mean, I'll say a visceral, right? You're going to have an emotional response to. Let's say that. That maybe sounds better. So when it comes to your calendar, ask yourself, when it comes to your calendar, do you like to be Stewie structure? Everything is coded. Do you like to be Fantasia Flow? I've got idea of what's going on and I'm going to let my day go. Or are you Lulu bit of both? When it comes to your calendar, which of those 3 do you fall into? When it comes to your email, and when I say email, it's 2025. So this means all messages, Slack, all of the messages, Signal, Telegram, email, it means messages. Okay, so when it comes to organizing your email and messages, are you structured, Stewie, where I need to have my emails in order? I need to have them organized? Are you Fantasia Flow, where my emails are in there, I'll get to them? Or are you Lulu bit of both? When it comes to your schedule and how you track your schedule and your time, is it, Stewie, I need to know where I'm going to be for the next 48 hours and what I'm going to be doing? Does that give you the hives? Maybe you're more Fantasia Flow, where I want to have an idea, but I want to allow for some flexibility. Or is it a little bit of both? Okay, let's moving on. When it comes to organizing your drives, it could be Google, it could be Microsoft, OneDrive, whatever. When it comes to organizing your electronic or even paper, some of us still have those. When it comes to identifying your electronic, organizing your drives, are you Stewie structure? You've got numbers, you've got naming schemes, things are put away in your files. Are you Fantasia both? I'm going to put it in a file. I'm going to put my documents in some files and I'll find them. Or are you Lulu bit of both? When it comes to your daily process and the things you have to complete on a daily basis, again, are you Stewie structure where at 8 a.m. I'm going to go through my daily process? Are you Fantasia Flow? I know what I'm going to need to do. I'll do it when I can during the day. Or are you a little bit of both? 2 last questions. When it comes to gym planning or working out, are you structured? I know when I'm going to work out. I know what I'm going to take. I know what I'm going to drink. I know what I'm going to do. Are you Fantasia Flow? I'm going to do this on this time. And last question when it comes to meal planning. Do you want to have a structure? Be like Stewie? Do you want to be Fantasia Flow? Oh, there's food up in the cupboards. We'll make it. Or are you a little bit of both? When you think about it, identifying our productivity superpowers is important to understanding ourselves. Taking it one step further to say, okay, we know it's not just about productivity, but again, 45% of our day is repeating tasks. So we have some productivity situationships, right? We have some situations that we have a relationship with every day. So the question is, how do we want to deal with them? So that's why we've been looking at this. I want you to start to think not only in the big picture, but when it comes to the things that you're doing. Some of these might not be important to you, but some of them are. For example, not every task needs a cape, but knowing which one to wear, that's your superpower. So for example, what I'm sharing now is I've gone through and I've identified the capes I wear based on productivity situationships. And I know, and I have mentioned this before, I am Fantasia Flow. If you tell me I have to be Stewie structure, there are some times when I am not, that is not going to work for me. But there are some situations actually when I realized when I went through this, when it comes to my calendar, when it comes to color coding, how things are, I am Stewie. I love some structure. If my calendar isn't organized, I am a hot mess. It's important to identify what are your productivity situationships and how do you relate to them, right? When it comes to email, when it comes to my day, when it comes to working out, Fantasia Flow all the way. When it comes to organizing my Google Drives and my files, hello, Stewie here. I have numbers. I am so structured when it comes to that, right? I'm sharing this because I want you to think about what you're like. What are your productivity situations? How do you like to respond in those moments? Because it's powerful to be able to know. When you embrace your superhero, when you boost your productivity, when you align your habits, processes, and mindset with your unique productivity preferences, you will totally transform overwhelm into focus, right? It's about embracing your superpower and knowing how to use it in every situation to get more done at ease, to get more done with ease. Isn't that what we're all looking for? If I told you I can help you to be able to get all of the things done in your life with ease, would you sign up for that? You would. So you're signing up to find your productivity superpower and the capes that you wear. So let's look at, and we're going to look at specific examples, right? So we just looked through a list and we can come up with, again, the place when I have worked with clients, I'm going to go back here. When I have worked with clients, the most interesting and enlightening place and where I learn the most about them is their productivity preference, the cape they wear when it comes to gym working out, whatever their workout regimen is, and when it comes to meal planning. Those are two areas where it's important to identify, and then it's important to identify without judgment. Because there are some people who they like things and they don't. This is about our preferences, right? I had one client, she was in her 30s. She was a married mom with 4 kids, full-time job, buying and renovating a house, plus her house. She was a busy woman. When we went through and talked about all her productivity things, for example, she identified that meal planning, absolute least favorite task that she worked on, because kids and all of the different things. One of the things she identified when she realized that that was not within her productivity preference, and she didn't want to wear the cape to get it done, she realized, how is another way to deal with this? So what we did is we identified, she hired someone to come in and do meal planning for her. It cost $300 a week. For her, the question was, is it worth $300 a week to not have to do meal planning and be able to spend other time with my family or on other tasks? For her, it was. Now, that's not necessarily true for all of us, and we all have our areas and our preferences and our specific issues. That's why we want to look at, once we identify our productivity situationships, we then can identify the systems, habits, and mindsets that we want to use. So let's look at this right now. So for example, let's look at our productivity habits, and let's look at one of them, our daily process, right? So for example, in this day and age, we know that there is a list of stuff and things we need to touch daily. There's messages, maybe it's Slack, maybe it's Google. Oh, I have this other email account that I need to check daily. I have phone messages. Thankfully I don't, but some people do have phone messages, right? Do you have CRMs? What are all of the tools, your calendar? What are all of the things you need to check, right? Now, this does not matter about your preference. Coming up with a list of all the things you need to check on a daily basis, that is being productivity smart and taking control of your productivity. Now, once you identify your checklist and you want to figure out how to enact it and how to complete it every day, now that is called knowing your superpowers and putting on the right cape, right? Because what we're able to do, so for example, if we know we have a daily process checklist we need to do every day, we know that we have habits and we have things we need to align with our productivity on a daily basis. So the question is, how do we do that? If we're Stewie structure for a daily process habit, I've worked with my clients to come up with, here are the 7 steps I need to take. And I have clients that every morning at 7 or 8 or whatever time in the morning, they get up, they do that at that time. Isn't that awesome? Wouldn't work for me, but I love it works for them, right? So Stewie structure, you have a list of things you need to check. Setting up the habit is saying, okay, this is what I need to do. How can I do it? What cape can I put on that matches with my superpower? So I'll do it on a daily basis and I will enact that habit into my productivity life. So we know for Stewie structure, it's identifying it and then saying, okay, this is when I'm going to do it. For Fantasia Flow, it's identifying this is the what, but it's setting up to say, for example, for me, my daily process, my schedule is not the same every day. So for me, it doesn't work to have a process that's the same every day. For me, I know what I need to do. And when I log in every morning or start, I assign a time at that point, right? I am Fantasia Flow. I know I need to build a habit of a daily checklist, but I know that it's not going to work to do it at the same time like Stewie would. So Fantasia me is going to do it during the day when it works. Now, there might be some people, and I've had some clients who it depends for them, right? Sometimes they want structure, sometimes they want flow. They need to know that they've got that ability. So again, when we talk about, we're talking specifically about the habit right now of your daily checklist. We can go through this for every habit, right? We could go through this for the gym. Do I like to be structured? Do I like to have flow? Do I want to be a little bit of both? We can go through this for each and say, knowing myself and knowing I want to develop a habit of, how can I know myself to meet the needs and the moment of this habit? That is the goal. And that is how we're getting to know our superpower and what cape we want to put on. Are we Stewie structure? Are we Fantasia Flow? Or are we a little bit of both? Again, be intentional and think about how to develop habits that will work for you, which means, in the most plain, simple way I could put it, you got to like it. If you don't like the process, you're not going to do it. So you've got to build a process that you like. Now, let's look at productive processes that match your preference, right? So we know that there are habits, things we need to do on a regular basis, but then we also know that there are productivity processes. For example, how do we prioritize and organize tasks and our priorities? Now, again, based on if you are more of a structured flow or a little bit of both, your task list and your priorities are going to vary depending on your productivity preference. One of the things I say to everybody, and you've heard me say this before, when it comes to your task list, no matter what, everyone, 100%, there are two things I always say to add to your task list. One, estimated task time. Two, the next clear step, so you know what to do. Because the question is, how do you turn the process of your to-do list or your priorities, how do you turn that process to meet your productivity preferences, right? How do you match your CAPE with it? Let's look at that. So again, one of the things we've said, we know we have a priority list or a to-do list. We want to think about the information we want to include that's going to help us. For example, Stewie structure is going to be more detailed, right? They're going to break down the tasks. They're going to be more detail oriented about what they have. They're going to think about it. They're going to plan it, think about it, document it, and then do it, right? This structure helps them to stay in control and ensures that they know everything is right. So that is Stewie. For Fantasia Flow, when it comes to their habits, the habit of productivity process of your to-do list and your priorities. Fantasia Flow, again, is going to want to attach what is your task time, how long does it take to do the task. But then when it comes to structuring it, it's not going to be so rigid and it's not going to have so much information. One of the things that I have found, because again, Fantasia Flow doesn't want to be forced into something. Hello, here I am. Doesn't work for me. So here's what I have found works for myself and clients. Instead of having a detailed priority to-do list that's now, you're going to flip it and you're going to have a task list that you organize by what I need to do now, what I need to do next, and what I need to do after. I generally say I can have 3 to 5 bullet points in each. Otherwise, it begins to get crazy. But again, if we are more of a Fantasia Flow person, when it comes to our to-do list and task list, we want to set it up not so rigid. We want to set it up so it meets our ability to like, oh, wait, I have an hour. What task that can I work on right now that's an hour? Or what's due right now? Again, we're in the flow of working what works for us best. Now, if we are a little bit of both and we are working on our to-do list, we want to combine structure with a little bit of flexibility for the flow. So Lulu's going to have a bit more information than Fantasia Flow on their list, but Lulu wants to allow to be able to pick up and work on the tasks and to-do lists when the moment is right, when their energy is right, when their flow is right, when whatever is right? We're giving it that freedom and that flexibility. I hope this has helped to make a little bit of sense. When we're looking at our productivity situations, we want to look at what are the habits, what are the processes that are specific to each task we need to finish, right? To each of the things we need to do in our life. We want to look at them specifically. And then last, we want to look at our mindset. We want you to wear your cape intentionally in each situation. I will be honest, as I have said, I am very much Fantasia Flow in most situations. But when it comes to a couple things and when I work with people and I tell people, I will be honest with you, as you know, I am very flexible when it comes to most things. When it comes to file organizing, I am not. You must, there are areas when I am like, your files need to be structured. If we're sharing a Google Drive, you cannot bring your mess into my Google Drive. So that lets us know our mindset, right? Once we begin to embrace our superpower and adapt to each situation, we can be honest, we can be open, we can communicate, we could get to know ourselves and use it to our benefit. Again, we want structure, right? We want to realize if I am Stewie structure, my mindset is about action, organizing, structure. I want to be able to be in control and detailed. If my mindset is Fantasia Flow, I am setting up systems, processes, and organizing things to be able to complete when I'm in the flow when they need to be. If I am a little bit of both, I need to be able to work with both. Understanding our mindset is going to be huge because it gives us the permission that we need. I cannot tell you how many times I have worked with clients who come up with the preference and they feel guilty about it. The goal of today has been, no, we are not going to feel guilty. We are going to get to know our preferences. We are going to know how we operate in each productivity situation. We want to understand our situationships. Am I Stewie structure? Am I Fantasia flow? Am I a little bit of both? How will you embrace your productivity superhero and the cape you wear? As we're coming to a close, I want you to think about that. Not every task needs a cape, but knowing which one to wear is important. So my challenge to you, after we've spent this time talking about productivity superheroes, the capes that we wear, and looking at our specific situations and how we can meet the need with our productivity preference, I would like for you, my challenge is identify your productivity situationships. Maybe it's not email, maybe it's not gym, maybe it's meal planning, maybe it's cleaning. Identify your productivity situationships. Again, here are some samples. And then go through and say in each of those situationships, I am wearing this cape, I am Stewie structure, I am Fantasia flow, or I am little bit of both, right? Take time to get to know who you are in each situation, because then you can set up your habits, you can set up your processes, your mindset, your tools. You can make your life better. You can make your productivity at ease. You can get more done. And most important, setting up systems like this allows us to be our best, because then when we're working and we're not thinking about other stuff. So that's why we want to do this. Again, it has been my pleasure to share this with you. Today, we talked about 3 things, right? This was embracing your productivity superhero. This was part 2, where we look specifically at the habits, processes, and mindset you wear. My challenge for you, as every week, is to take at least one lesson, one nugget of information. I hope you're able to take one thing and build that and take that to the productivity habits that you are building, so that we can take control of your time. So you're working smarter, not harder. So you're enjoying the life that you've worked so hard to create. And trust and believe, for me, that is the most important thing. I want to thank you for being here with me today. I am Megan. I am your very favorite strategic productivity partner. I love talking about productivity. I love being intentional about it. So thank you for joining me here today on Intentional Productivity Tips, so that we could talk about getting to know a little bit about your productivity preferences. I will be back next Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific. We're going to talk about productivity preferences more. We're going to look at some specific tools that you can use and how to use tools with your productivity preferences. We're going to look at 2. We're going to look at Monday.com, and we're going to look at Kanban Lite. So I would say, please join me next week for that. I want to thank you again for being here. Take time to get to know yourself and your productivity. Make it a great week. Here is a word from our sponsor.
Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions, designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacqueline.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor. Start your journey today. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives, one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.